The 宋词 poems. The 宋词 poems, unlike the poems with fixed numbers of characters in a line, have varied numbers of characters in a line, hence the name long and short verses. 苏轼、周邦彦、辛弃疾 all of them were very famous in 宋词 poems. There are two styles of the 宋词 poems, heroic and romantic, with 苏轼 and 李清照 being the representatives respectively. We can read this. It's a 宋词 poem written by 苏轼. We could read it. And it's a 宋词 poem written by 李清照. It seems very romantic. Searching and searching coldness and in a miserable situation. Tick, 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 and tick, lonesome is the world. It's a 宋词 poem written by 李清照. Now let's go to the 16th century. There are 4 classical novels of China. The 4 classical novels in China are The Dreams of the Red Chambers, written by Cao Xueqin and Gao E in the Qing dynasty. Second, The Romance of the Three Kingdoms, written by Luo Guanzhong in the Ming dynasty. Third, The Outlaws of the Marsh, written by Shi Nai'an, who lived through the end of the Yuan dynasty and the early part of the Ming dynasty. And lastly, The Journey to the West, written by Wu Cheng'en in the Ming dynasty. These 4 classic novels have achieved highly in literature and art, and are essence of the classical Chinese novels. The stories, scenes, figures in the novels have influenced the Chinese on their belief and values. The Dreams of the Red Chambers is considered the zenith of classical Chinese novels. And let's listen to this introduction.
The Dream of the Red Chamber, also called The Story of the Stone, was written by Cao Xueqin in the middle of the 18th century during the Qing dynasty. This book is one of the 4 great classical novels of China and considered the greatest of them all. This book is truly epic in its scope, diverse and deep in its characters and delivery. The book follows the rise and eventual decline of the aristocratic Jia family during the Qing dynasty. Many believe the stories were inspired by events in the author Cao Zhiqing's own family, with the main character, Jia Baiyou, mirroring the life of the author, Cao Zhiqing. The book has 80 chapters attributed to the original author, with another 40 believed to have been added later by Gao Yi. The novel features 400 plus characters, most with multi-dimensional personalities. The novel is remarkable not only for its huge cast of characters and psychological scope, but also for its precise and detailed observations of the life and social structures typical of 18th century Chinese society. The Dream of the Red Chamber is a book about political struggle and complex personal relationships, all set within a sweeping political historical novel. In 18th century China, the penalties for subversive writing were severe, forcing the author to express his ideas in a veiled and indirect manner. Presenting his political criticisms deftly embedded in a story of romantic love succeeded in obscuring the author's true aims and avoided detection by the authorities.
Here are the three main characters of the Red Chamber. They are Jia Baoyu. The young lady in the middle is Lin Daiyu, and the lady next to her is Xue Baochai. The Romance of the Three Kingdoms is the only novel based on historical facts among these four novels. It describes the political and material struggles between the states of Wei, Shu, and Wu during the Three Kingdoms period in the 3rd century. There are a lot of characters such as Liu Bei, Zhuge Liang, Guan Yu, Zhang Fei, Cao Cao, and Zhou Yu, and so on. So many characters, and Guan Yu is the all-time favorite because he perfectly embodies the qualities that Chinese people hope to achieve. For example, loyalty, brave, and wisdom, and so on. This is Guan Yu. The genre to the west tells the stories of Tang monk, a Buddhist master from the Tang dynasty, Sun Wukong, Zhu Bajie, and Sha Shen, who went to the west in a quest for Buddhist scriptures. The master and 3 disciples went through 81 difficulties on their way to the scared West, India, and eventually brought back the scriptures they had wanted. Here are the characters of this book. Sun Wukong, who is a monkey. Sun Wukong is the most attractive hero in this book. He is brave, intelligent, and he has a clear sense of love and hate. And his brother, Zhu Bajie, he likes to eat and sleep and beautiful women. So actually he is, both of them are very popular in this novel. Last, the stories in the Outlaws of the Marsh took place in the last years of the Northern Song dynasty, when some famous rebels, led by Song Jiang, gathered in the Liangshan mountain, and eventually they were bought over and pacified by the Song government. There are many famous characters from this book. For example, Song Jiang, Wu Yong, Wu Song, Lu Junyi, Yan Qing, and so on. There is one thing worth mentioning. There are a lot of girls in the Red Chamber, but there are not very many. There are not much girls in the Outlaws of the Marsh. The Outlaws of the Marsh have many male